Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump is preparing to walk away from Middle East, and the whole financial world is celebrating as if the outcome right now is peace on earth. Everything is being okay. Well, let me going to tell you, it is not okay, and this tantamounting to surrender, and the outcome of it is going to be very bad for the economy and for the financial market of the world. Let's just watch on. So it's very clear that Donald Trump wants to walk away. Whether he will ultimately do that or not, we don't know. But clearly, it's a sign that US is surrendering and Iran wins. And it's going to be a disastrous outcome for US, for the world. And I'll just say this, it is not over yet. So hit subscribe so that you will not miss any of this development. So as US is continuing to send this message of we're going to walk away, to hell with you, my allies, to hell with you, Iran, we're just going to walk away. Well, the Iranians are saying this, mark my word, our conditions for ending the war are clear. We will not accept a ceasefire. You want to walk away, we are not allowing a ceasefire. We'll still continue to attack. So it's very clear this is a surrender, and the political and economic outcome will be very, very bad for US and for the rest of the world. Let's watch on. Now, the whole market is celebrating with fierce, incredible bull run right now for this one day, but I'll just say this. The markets are now ignoring a very important fact. Walking away from the war doesn't solve the oil problem. It makes it worse. The Straits of Hormuz now remains choked and is under Iranian control. They will ransom everybody. Oil prices will stay elevated. The world economy now faces inflation, stagflation, and unresolved oil shock. So this initial euphoria, excitement is based on what? Based on the joy that the war is going to end soon and is Teletubby land right now? You got to be kidding me, man. So Donald Trump has outright said that they will probably leave the whole Middle East and let the allies face the chaos. We're going to just end the war without reopening the Straits of Hormuz. Is none of my business. I achieved all my objectives. And by the way, he didn't. Okay. But it doesn't matter. We're not here to debate that. He just basically tell his allies, you need oil, you go straight, take the Straits of Hormuz yourself. Right? I'm quite sure he has more flowery language and hand signals and things like that. But basically, he's just stating that I'm just going to leave. The Iranians right now are laughing to the bank. Clearly, they won. By the way, this Professor Zhang has made 3 predictions. And one of the last first of all, the first 2 predictions has come to pass. The first prediction is that Donald Trump will win the election. Second, that he will wage a war with Iran. Third is Iran will win. Wow, it looks like all 3 have come to pass. Iran has won. So the Iranians now are saying, well, President Trump, you call this operation epic fury. Now it's epic failure. It's just all laughing right now. So it's very clear. They say that, okay, you want to leave the war, you want to end the war. Limpe is not ending yet, okay? You listen to me, I don't let you go. And they also say that, well, we are waiting for you if you want to have a ground offensive, and we're not going to talk to you because, talking to you guys is bad. You guys don't have any good faith in negotiation and talking. So I think the Straits of Hormuz is going to remain choked for a lot of countries. But they always say this, we will certainly reopen it, but not for you, US, not for you, Europe, but for those who comply with our new Iranian laws. And these laws are going to hold a lot of ships ransom. So very clear, this is not over yet. Well, the crux of the matter is that the oil flow is still choked. You can walk away, the oil flow is still choked. And right now, things are getting from bad to worse in Asia, and situation is now getting drastic in places like Philippines, places like Thailand, places like Vietnam, Cambodia, Iran, Myanmar, and so on. Things are not getting any better. If the Straits of Hormuz remain under the control of Iran and they ransom it, well, I'll just say these prices of oil will go higher. So, and not to forget, many of the infrastructure in Middle East are already damaged. So they're not going to be able to supply as they used to. And in the last 24 hours, when Donald Trump was declaring celebration, we're going to walk away whatsoever, he's still going to say that to a lot of people. 3 oil tankers were being attacked in Middle East. And right now, things are getting bad from the oil perspective, of the shipment perspective, and also the insurance of shipment is going to skyrocket even if the Straits of Hormuz were to reopen. Now, interestingly, the Iranians have now formalized and institutionalized sovereign control over the Straits of Hormuz. And basically, they're going to charge a toll, like the ERP, right? So now oil prices is now remaining high. I don't see it coming down by very much. So the stock market is very euphoric. I didn't see the oil market that euphoric. And the oil is now under the control of the Iranians. All the vessels are now get stuck. So looks like things are not getting any better. Now, interestingly, the Iranians are now stronger than before the war. It is a complete rubbish to say that Iran is now completely decapacitated. Well, after 5 months of intensive bombing, they do a trade-off and now they are emerging stronger. Well, what they did was that clearly they lost a lot of leaders, but their chain of command is very clear. One leader goes down, another one comes up. And a lot of their air force, their navy, and the missiles got hit, but they are still building them. The drones are still hitting the Gulf countries. The missiles are still hitting Gulf countries. The missiles are penetrating through the Iron Dome of Israel and still hitting Israel very, very hard. So right now, the worst thing has happened. They trade off all these military losses, and now they are able to gain the control of the Straits of Hormuz, and they're going to get a lot of money from these straits. They basically can ransom anybody. So if you want to come through, can pay. Now, this is a hell of money. What do you think the Iranians will do with this newfound money? Number one, they state very clearly, we want this not to be in US dollar. Number two, all must pay. Well, maybe a few friendly countries, they'll spare it, but all must pay. And once they have this money, what do you think they will do with it? Right? They will be very nice and build nice infrastructure, HDB flats for their citizens. You must be kidding, man. They will build weapons and make themselves even more powerful and come back even stronger for another day. Basically, by walking away right now, the US has essentially surrendered the whole of the straits to them, the entire oil trade to them. But US doesn't care. Donald Trump needs to run away. He made a mistake. Never mind. Now, this is the worst thing. The Gulf countries have been abandoned. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain is now being abandoned by the United States. So basically, Trump is now saying, go take care of yourself. We can't take care of you anymore. And they are at the receiving end. Didn't they have a deal that in exchange for using the US dollar, you come and protect us? Where's the promise, right? So that's why we say international contracts are not reliable. So don't trust all this international tai kind of arrangement, big brother kind of arrangement, right? So right now, it's never been this way, but being an ally of US is not an asset, but it's a liability. We have seen it now in the Gulf, and possibly we need to reconsider, if we want to be a US ally in Singapore. Now, as this oil flow is now choked, we in Asia are the biggest victim. Whether it's in Philippines, Sri Lanka, Australia, South Korea, whatever, we are all now facing a rising oil prices. We can see it in the petrol prices. We can see it in the diesel prices. So walking away doesn't solve all these problems. It gets worse. And all this eventually will hit the Americans, people. And guess what? The Americans will have to bear the cost of inflation, and they will take it up against the Republican and Donald Trump's party during the midterm election end of this year. Interestingly, Malaysia is a clear beneficiary. They managed to negotiate with Iran, and Iran is allowing some of the tankers to go through, as reported by Transport Minister of Malaysia, Anthony Loke. And now Malaysia don't need to pay toll, okay? And that's a great outcome for Malaysia. Plus the fact that oil prices are going up is also a benefit for Malaysia as well. Now, for Singapore, it's a different picture. We are a famous ally of America in this region. So I'm not too sure shipment that is coming out of the Straits to Singapore will be deemed as a friendly shipment. So I don't know what's the outcome of this, but as I said, this is the first time being a close US airline, it's a liability and maybe even existential risk for some of the airlines in the Gulf countries. So to be frank, before the start of the war to after the world is the worst place to be, all caused by the Americans. And I'm not sure, and let me say again, I'm not sure the stock market is reacting correctly. Now, as a crash buyer, all I need to do when it crashes, I buy. It goes up, I'm good. I got a lot more shares right now. And I certainly took some positions, may not be enough, but I took some positions during the crash. But I'm thinking we are celebrating way too early. The whole problem is not over. In fact, there's no sign of it being over. So right now, oil prices continue to go up. Strait of Hormuz is choked. The US dollar now potentially face a de-dollarization threat. And all the US airlines right now is facing a worse outcome. Now, clearly there's one big beneficiary, that's Israel. This is a very smart move by Netanyahu, and their country clearly benefit from it. They killed many of Israel's enemy, the leadership, they weakened Iran a lot. So Iran right now can't strike them as hard as they would like to. They have removed their nuclear capability to a large extent. And even Netanyahu outright say the war has achieved more than half its aim. So it's a good outcome of them. Will it be a best outcome forever? Will Iran now have more money that can come and bite them in future even stronger? We don't know. So in history, when you sometimes leave enemies, wounded enemy with the ability to recover even stronger, it may be a more worst case. But I'm not a political analyst. I'll leave that to future to realize the truth of this. So let's do a verdict check. So Iran's objective out of this war is to keep the Straits of Hormuz under control. They have achieved that. They try to survive this entire war with hits on them, but they try to survive with the regime intact. That is being achieved. They want to fight the Americans on their terms. It's still in progress, but they have not failed. And one more thing, they managed to lift the sanction on Iranian oil. Iranian oil is now openly traded without US sanction. They've also achieved that. So you tell me whether Iranians won or lost. On the other hand, Donald Trump initially wants to reopen the Straits of Hormuz. He couldn't. He wants to end the war on US terms. Well, he didn't. He wants to force the Iranians to accept the 15-point peace plan. None of them achieved. And US credibility as a security protector of the Gulf is now failed, and they also potentially destroyed the credibility of the US as a currency of international reserve. So it's also gone. So, well, I will just say this is not a draw. This is not a victory by US. This is almost a surrender and walking away. This is going to be very bad for US. And unfortunately, in the long term, it's going to be very bad for the financial market. So my take is this: the stock market euphoria right now is premature. I'm happy that it's going up. All my assets are all going up. And of course, if I have more time and opportunity to buy more, I'll be happy. Doesn't matter, because I'm still sitting on a lot of asset is good. But I'll just say this: I think the euphoria is way, way, way too early to celebrate. The Straits is still closed. The US allies now all being hit. The Gulf countries are now at the ransom of the Iranians. and oil prices remain high and potentially even higher. I think the worst is yet to come, and we will know it once the shipment runs out. And I think it will be a matter of 1 or 2 weeks, we'll know. So I think this is something that we got to be careful about before we fall in the trap that this whole thing is over. My conclusion of this is that it is too early to celebrate. In fact, I want to say there's nothing to celebrate. So there, one more thing I want to caution everybody. Do you trust what Donald Trump says? I'm not even sure we can trust what he says, but we shall see. We don't need to trust what he says. We judge what he does. So I'm sure this will not be the end of the development. So remember, hit subscribe. There are more development coming. I'll keep you informed real time, and I'll see you tonight in the live stream. Thank you, and have a nice day.